What to do? Yay! Welcome to the Isle of Roux. That was a good.
Yay!
Those were good entrances. Felix and Zach joining from their studios. Oh, so nice. How was your birthday, Zach?
Woo! Another year younger.
That is so nice. Good adventures?
Yeah, it was action packed. Yeah, it was pretty wild. Wakeboarding, whitewater rafting, anthropology museum, mural. Yeah.
What was your favorite thing at the anthropology museum?
Probably these really epic little owl, these little owl potteries. These Zuni potteries. Oh my goodness, they're the most adorable.
We went to Chicago.
Forgot to do this.
Yeah, and there was an anthropology museum floor in the Natural History Museum, and it was really, as a Canadian, super strange to see how they mingled it all into one lump.
Interesting.
Like the lack of attention.
Yeah,
was bizarre.
Humans did it. Put it in the pile.
Human pile. Human pile.
You put it in the human pile.
That's funny. On the topic of humans and land, I'll do the land acknowledgement, and then we'll get into our art ranking. The Creator gifted us with this land that we are blessed to share and care for together. We acknowledge that the land we gather on, Mohkinstsis, is the ancestral territory of the Siksika, Sitapi, the Siksika, the Kainai, the Piikani, and the Amskapi Piikani. We acknowledge all First Nations and Métis at Treaty 7 lands, the Tsuut'ina, the Ethkabi, which includes Bearspaw, Chiniki, and Goodstoney. We commit to advancing reconciliation guided by truth, respecting treaty laws, and humbly walking alongside First Nations, Métis, and Inuit. We recognize all who live, work, play, and make art on these lands and who now call this place home. And I was thinking, Zach's coming in from Vancouver, and so there'd be a different land acknowledgement there. So I wonder if there's like a land acknowledgement for all of Canada.
Every different treaty.
All of the
treaties. I could. I'll practice one.
What is your?
This has caught me off guard, but.
Oh no, I would definitely not put you on the spot like that. It's been like a few weeks, and I just came to my mind like, oh yeah, that would be actually pretty cool if looking at the different treaty spaces that we're broadcasting from.
I think I land in the Wet'suwet'en.
That's okay. We can look at stuff for next week.
Yeah.
No worries. Felix is just up the hill from us, so he's not in a different treaty land.
Space. You guys paid his ransom?
Yeah, we paid his ransom. He's back. Because remember, Rich was on the submarine watching Felix in Iceland.
Hey, here's a question, or several. Were you gonna read to me?
Oh yeah.
Chris's story.
Okay, so
I also was tempted to get you to give me some heads up on that one, but then I thought it'd be fun to have to deal with it live. So this is a new and exciting adventure.
Fun. Okay. So, Rich,
how long is it? 500 words or longer?
500 words.
Because there was no limit.
Page.
Right.
It's a page. So Rich put out a challenge.
It was not a challenge.
It was like he's like, I want to paint you an opportunity. Yeah.
An invitation.
An invitation.
Yeah.
A call
to action.
Adventure. A call to action.
I did not mean to snap at you, by the way, when I said, this is not a challenge.
It's not like you're a teacher giving homework. We were joking about that last.
Okay, read me the story.
This is from Chris Boyd.
It's not a challenge.
The story with cats.
Cats, I like it already.
Do you believe in spiritual beings? You know, life after death, presence you cannot see, things beyond our perception? Or are you torn like me? I say that, but really, honest me believes that when we die, worms eat us. Ghosts are in your mind, and coincidences beyond belief are just coincidences. But shall I list here the times? Challenge my certainty. Let's do just one today. I am reminded of it by a post online, and my apologies to whoever wrote it, but I missed your name. Cats really are magical beings. Quote. Cats have saved my life many times before. Cats have taught me things humans missed out on. Cats show me the light whenever I can't see it for myself. They're not just animals, they're spiritual and healing beings. All that happened when my cat, Soft Al, died. He was strong and silent and grounded, and he followed me everywhere for 17 years. Once, when I had a migraine, he leapt up on the bed and carefully put one paw on each side of my head and purred with me. Deeply shaken by his absence, I went for a walk, and when I got to the house on the corner of 8th Ave, a long-haired black and white cat looked up from his nap on the porch. He stretched and walked purposefully towards me and laid on the sidewalk in front of my feet. He stayed with me and somehow cried with me, and the earth moved. I walked often past that house on my way to yoga, always looking for a human with whom I could share the story, and finally, after about 2 years, I met a young man there. After listening to my story, he said today is his last day. He's been suffering with cancer, and today we're taking him to put him to sleep. Would you like to see him? And later, would you like to hold him? He lay long, so slender and long, shiny black and white fur, and my God, my face is full of tears, and I want to run away and get a coffee or something, and I'm going to try to sit here with you and just feel this moment. Was it a spiritual moment? For sure it was something. I both understand and do not understand. There are no words. I guess with cats there are never any words, and with them it is always something else, isn't it? Thank you, Chris. That was really beautiful. I have your watercolor.
So Jess is going to be fixing a.
Thanks, Chris.
Jess is going to be fixing an old
Sewing machine.
sewing machine tonight.
I was like, I'm not so sure I got the right manual. I keep like doubting myself. From Margot gave us, so she was moving. Margot is a ceramicist and a quilting artist. She does everything. And I think it was her or her mom that gave us, her mom had a bunch of sewing machines, and I got, it's like at least 100 years old, this one, Singer sewing machine. And now I'm trying to learn how to get it going. It was at least all engaged before, and now I disengaged something. So now I'm going to try to re-engage something. Engaged. That was really nice reading Chris's piece. I like the idea of those coming in. We'll always...
I did jump the gun and just start painting them because I got like 30 at once and I was on holiday. But it would have been nicer if I just got permission and then read them online as I made them.
Well, that's okay, because some people we already got them to them. And like you said, they're all different. Like, I think, like you said, the ones with immediacy that I guess
feeling your way through it's the ticket.
Yeah, it's not about having like a exact science all the time.
Where on 8th Ave, do you think?
Oh, what did she say? Yeah.
We went to a movie today. which is pretty uncommon for us because, well, I guess mostly because we've been running the gallery for quite some time and we're just adjusting to life in the real world. But we went and saw the Fantastic Four, and it wasn't groundbreaking in terms of storytelling. I mean, it is telling a very old story about, you know, the Silver Surfer and story from the 60s, really. But I will say that the feels that I got from that film were pretty complete. And I cried a few times. And I wasn't crying during emotional parts. I was just like feeling a weird sense of hope that piety and intelligence could succeed in the world. Because it really was a magical
I like that
feeling I had watching that film. I felt very, very in love with the beauty of the scapes. Sorry, the reason I ask is, did Chris say in that story she used to live on 8th Avenue? Also, is there weird dripping over there?
That's outside.
Is there weird dripping outside?
Yeah, maybe our neighbors watering their plants again. 8th Avenue North.
8th Avenue goes right across Calgary, right? Get that?
Yeah.
So.
Hi, Amanda.
But I thought she said at the end of 8th
It's
Avenue.
a Singer sewing machine. It totally is. And I'm trying to learn how to wind the bobbin.
We were also wondering if a bobbin is a bobbin because it bobs, or if things bob because of bobbins.
Yeah, what came first?
And also, is your uncle's given name Robert?
Mom's joining us from Ottawa. Hi, Mom. They're driving across Canada to the Maritimes. Hi.
I was wondering if your mom might want to join us on the live feed through the she could use the link to the StreamYard and put her face on and talk to us. I did think of you, Mrs. Mom, when we watched the Fantastic Four, because it was a very
Kelly's here. Sorry, I'm just
female-powered story that and it wasn't condescending in any way.
No. Your mom, you're on TV.
Hi, Mom.
Did your mom join us?
No, Kelly's mom. Kelly's mom.
And I thought your mom would really like the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, that's a good good point.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
That's my mom. She's eating her dinner.
Hi. She doesn't look happy, Kelly. You have to listen to her.
I know.
Hi,
Yeah.
Kelly's mom.
I'll talk to you guys in a little while, okay?
Okay, see you, Kelly and Kelly.
Bye.
Bye. Oh man, just making mom happy all over the place. Here, I'm going to share the link. There, Mom, if you're watching and you'd like to join on your phone, you can. They've been sending happy photos from patios all over Canada here. Joining you from a patio near you. No, they're nowhere near us. We flew to Ottawa.
Well,
It was a long time.
you know,
It's crazy wind, I think. Because all the windows are open in the other rooms. Oh, look, I got a clip from my hair that keeps falling in my hair. Whew. It's a cicada. That's really nice, Rich.
Kitty.
Oh, do you need more little? Is that what you were looking for before?
No.
Because I have my things.
I'll have your things.
Yeah. I mean, not mine. I have more things.
I'll have your things. if you'd like.
Amanda, we got one that folds into a cabinet. Yeah, right. The bobbin's weird. And like I printed the instructions out from like 1900, and there's pretty pictures, but the continuity in their technical writing is subpar, shall we say?
What's wrong with the technical writing?
Well, I don't like. Well, first of all, they told me how to disengage. I just might need to oil this poor machine because.
I'm asking you a different question.
I don't like. I'm reading it over and over again, and I'm not sure how to wind the bobbin.
Okay, but like that's not what I'm asking.
Like, where is the technical writing falling short?
Yeah,
it's like not connecting ideas, like for my brain, because I'm looking.
That's fair, but and I'm not trying to be like provocative here. I'm just wondering if maybe is it weak technical writing, or is it maybe like time has shifted and they're using language that.
Oh, maybe.
The reason I ask is, and like, don't get me wrong, because I studied technical writing, but I was never good at it. The way they would define, like, say, like newspaper writing or textbook writing, oftentimes they would like reference these technical writing journals as the base. Like, when you're working, you're supposed to try and make it sound like the Haynes manuals or something, because the manuals writers were like the most proficient technical writers.
Right.
Now, I'm not disagreeing with you either, because I remember using a Haynes manual and having learned that the Haynes manual was like the baseline for like good technical writing.
Mm-hmm.
And it said take the spanner, which meant wrench, and turn it to the left. And I was like, my left or the motorcycle's left? And so even then, with the Haynes manual, I was like also struggling. But that would have been the first question I'd ask: is like, is this a me thing, or like,
just like you said, time,
or poorly written manual, right? But chances are the best writers of the early 20th century was working on your most advanced sewing machine.
Right.
Crazy, hey?
That is crazy.
Yeah. And that's not to say that you're not reading it well either. It's got more to do with like how words change and meanings change and things that you would have taken for granted.
Yeah, things that are a given. That's right.
All right, this is my cat story. It did get me thinking about God again. I was thinking about God this week. Let's think about the double slit experiment and Schrodinger's cat, and just the idea that science has no problem assuming that electrons respond to an observer, which would imply like a consciousness has a hold over an electron. But then consciousness, as we know it, only evolved in the last million years. So what controlled the electrons previous to that?
Right.
And that over and over again, it just makes sense to me that there would be some kind of, I mean this to be like a Sunday lecture, but it does make sense to me that there would be a sentient voice behind creation. And I don't need anybody to believe that. I don't know that I'm in a position to say that's true or false, but it just makes sense to me, I think, that maybe the reason I think the universe has a consciousness is because I have a consciousness.
Right.
It's like a clue. Like, I do think that it's my job to keep moving. And I have these clues in my body that say I need to keep moving. Because if I stop breathing, I die. If I stop my heart pumping, I die. If my lungs stop moving, I die. And then somebody says, will you please sit still? And I go, no, I don't want to. Here's something. I kind of thought I'd spend a longer time doing Chris's painting. And I have a painting of a cat here. I could paint more cats, but what do you think I should do? What do you like? I have an idea. But then find me something else once I've explored this idea. Are you ready?
Yep. What are you working on, Zach?
I'm fancying this particular style of landscape. I'm doing this like sea to sky, this like popular highway out here.
Nice.
So it's like the road to Squamish. It's like the road north.
I like that Zach's being careful not to say that he's struggling in any way for fear that I will try and teach him a new lesson. I heard your caution. How can I be humble and yet avoid another lecture? All right.
I'd take another lecture if you got one on deck.
I'm doing something I saw on TV. Are you ready?
Okay.
Did you ever have a cat?
Oh, yeah, I got a kitty now.
Would you describe yourself as like more of a cat person or a dog person?
100% cat person.
See,
Not to say, I mean, I've owned dogs. Love dogs.
Well, for sure, I would have said dog person.
But dogs work with cops, so I'm hanging out with cats now.
I'm not disagreeing with you. In fact, that was kind of like the George Foreman brought his German Shepherds to Zaire and paid the price. But what I was going to say was I think I thought of myself as a dog person when I was younger, but I also think that I tended to screw around as a child, and maybe my mother took care of the dogs. Now that I'm older, if I were to have a pet, I should think that the likelihood of a cat surviving in my care would be much stronger than a dog surviving in my care. Now, I also think that like there are many stories about when an owner dies and a dog is left alone in a house with the owner. It's not uncommon for that dog to sit down next to a full bowl of food and die of grief. Whereas 6 months after a cat dies alone in a house with the owner, it's pretty common to find them still pretty well fed, regardless of how much cat food. So when your cat snuggles up to you, is it because it's hungry or?
I mean, dying of grief is pretty dumb. The cat's got a higher spiritual intelligence than.
I'm not going to disagree, and Muhammad Ali was able to capitalize on George Foreman's German Shepherds because the soldiers in Zaire were used to using German Shepherds for intimidation tactics, and so when this guy shows up with the dogs, the people instantly was one of the reasons why the people instantly rallied behind. Ali.
That's interesting.
Oh.
Gotta know the room. Read the room.
Yeah, know your audience. Yeah.
Did not read the room.
Poor George.
Now we say that, and it's funny because between you and I, and even Zach, and probably even Felix, we seem to be a gang of people that resent having to read the room. Maybe even do everything we can to avoid reading the room.
No, I think.
Do you read the room?
I think you have to read the room to get as far as we have, like all of us. I think like
there's definitely been missteps. I've misread the room.
Yeah.
What was your best misreading the room story?
I don't know. I have this like tick to get me in trouble, and I'll let a tasteless joke rip and regret it.
I see.
Regret it.
So for you, it's the jokes.
Lots of jokes. Yeah, this humor-based blunders. Yeah. So it's innocent enough, but it's still regrettable.
Right. I will say, in my case, if I'm in a bad mood, I am not above upsetting everybody so that I can do it. And as a strategy, I've spent a lot of my life pretending to be a lot stupider than I am. So there are 100% times when I was just being funny. Oh, like here's a good one. I worked with this maybe really nice guy, but you might describe him a little bit uptight or is shy, another way to speak about it. And he was leaving and they asked me to make him a painting. And so I took this painting I made with, I don't know, 8 to 10 steel balls that I slathered in ink and rolled around on the canvas. And when I was presenting his painting, I completely deadpan explained to him that I painted this painting with my balls. And the look on his face was kind of priceless. And I could have clarified, but instead I went down this path of explaining every detail of how I painted his painting with my balls, with each statement left open-ended as to what exactly I meant by the mechanism of painting it with my balls. And I remember looking around the room, watching the other staff members whisper, like, does he even know what he's saying? Because they wholeheartedly believed that I had no idea what I was saying and that I was just like innocently.
Because you're able to do the deadpan thing. I can't do the deadpan thing.
Well, no, but that's me pretending to be stupider than I am, right? That's what the deadpan part is. And then also, in that case, I was doing it to make the party more fun. And in some cases, I do it just because I'm like, I want to be left alone. So I will just, I might pick something that nobody wants to talk about and then feign being super excited about it. And people will think I'm just like not picking up on cues, but I'm actually clearing the room.
Room clear.
Yeah, that's how I room clear. Is
hold on, Scott.
I start
says,
talking about space or something, you know.
Scott says, "Is this signs are us?" And I'm wondering if Scott means a sign to get out your sewing machine, a sign to talk about cats. There's so many things happening.
Which Scott are we talking about?
Corrick. I want to check in with Scott Blaskin.
Yeah, I sent him a link.
Make sure he's okay. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
There's so many signs on this show, isn't there, Scott?
Signs, everybody
also,
signs.
I shared the link if you want to join. I can share it again, Scott, if you'd like to. That was my nail. Don't worry, not a part of the machine.
I would be more worried about your nail than the machine. I hate to say.
That's okay. I broke that one.
I like when you break your nails because
I can
then you
scratch
cut them short and you scratch my back so well. Yeah.
I feel like I have to say, the link is so easy to join. It's easy. We're making it look easy. It is, the duck yard, super straightforward.
That is a good.
Oh, is that what he meant?
I'm just trying to encourage, the audience to join because it is intimidating, but
as soon as you do it, it's like
once you're rolling, you have a smartphone, you can hop on and say, what's up?
That's super fun. Thank you for saying
Yeah, super easy.
Our viewership goes right through the roof when we have new guests.
Also,
yeah.
Scott was saying, no, you painted a lot of signs at Blues Fest. That's funny. It works both ways, I guess. We were at Blues Fest over the weekend, and Rich painted 11 gigantic murals for Blues Fest. Well, we both did. And hung them up and everything. It was really fun. And Scott was there with us, helping us hang them up. Thank you for saying that.
Do you have another story for me?
because it like you actually I talk about this all the time. I'm always scared to do one thing one time, and then after that, then you're I guess it's
Yeah.
everybody, right? Like when it's
Yeah.
I have different fears than you.
Yes, that is true.
Like the very first time we
Let me see if there's any more stories.
did Gorilla House, I kind of had Elijah there to solve problems with me.
Yeah.
And we did like 3 or 4, and then Elijah's like, I'm gonna need to be out of town this Wednesday. And I was like, oh, like who's gonna help me solve problems? Now, generally, if there was a problem, Elijah would tell me about it and I'd come up with a solution. But I wasn't doing it by myself. So when I was left alone to run the first art battle, we used to call them, I remember I was super like just splitting bricks. And then years later, I was talking to Aaron McCullough about it. And he just cut me off. He's like, you're lying. I was like, what? He's like, you weren't scared. You're not scared of anything I've seen. Because he's known me since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me a very nice like presentation of how he believed I was never scared of anything. And I was like, that is a funny way to perceive me, because I am scared all the time. I'm scared of what things I'll say. I'm scared of hurting people. I'm scared of like going completely ape shit. I'm scared of like ripping my clothes off and running up and down the street screaming like a monkey. Like I'm scared of a lot of things. And I assume that shows, but in Aaron's case, he had not seen it. He thought that I was as brave as I was pretending to be.
That's a funny thing. That's a funny thing about bravery. It's just as brave as you're pretending to be.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, and then I was trying to say last week that courage is contagious, but I kept tripping on it and saying courage is courageous. Which, you know, sometimes when people trust you, they don't correct you right away. And I knew it sounded weird, but I was like really super tired. It was near the end of the broadcast, and
no, it was at the end of one of the days of Blues Fest.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
But the point is that courage,
but it was a tired,
is contagious. And what matters much more than the courage you show is the courage you share. So, you know, that kid that stood up, they tell the story about the soldiers that didn't want to fight on Christmas. And, you know, they first of all, they played soccer, the Germans against the English. And then they exchanged cards and things. But what they often don't tell you about that story is the first guy that stood up got his head blown off. And then the second guy that stood up got his head blown off. And like several people stood up and started singing before they stopped shooting at each other. And I think that's an important part of the story, right? Because it really affects how you see the rest of that narrative evolve. Because it wasn't just a sweet story about kids playing soccer and exchanging pictures of their family. It was a group of people that were led by a couple anonymous young men who got their heads blown off for the sake of one night of peace. And what I think is much more important to that is all the people that felt inspired by that story to do a better job of whatever it is they were doing. This isn't working the way I thought it would on the paper because the paper's so absorbent, but it is working differently and interestingly. Oh, I think I know how to do it now. Okay. I'm having a drip.
How can I help?
Well, with the drip?
Yeah.
You cannot help with the drip.
You cannot.
But I don't see Theo. I'm pretty sure I sent Theo a link.
Yeah.
Kind of I haven't heard from Theo during the broadcast in a while, but I feel like I hear from him still every morning. So hopefully
He might just be busy.
Yeah, that happens.
Maybe there's lots of summer things going on.
Right.
Maybe bowling moved to Wednesday nights.
Oh shit.
Theo.
I would end bowling. Bowling centers all over the city start having problems that no one can account for.
Bowling for soup.
Pass me the other pad that you offered me. Oh, look at that.
You're out of your element, Donnie.
Yeah.
Okay. That's got to be a movie that I haven't seen. Is
Big
it?
Lebowski.
Right. The only movie that matters to Jesse.
The Jesus.
I don't generally find any of those movies funny. But specifically, I've seen parts of The Big Lebowski. Like, you can't turn a computer on without getting some of the reels come your way.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it's just a long roll of film where nothing funny happens. Really nothing happens. And we were at the theater. What happens in that film? Like, tell me what happens.
There's so many good actors in this. Like Flea is up in there, and then like
No, that Flea's in it. I'm not disputing.
it's really funny. And then someone pees on his rug, and then he's just like super upset about it.
It's funny when you pee on rugs.
And then
It's funny when you pee
No.
on
How
it's not funny. He is very upset about it. It's not funny. And then not spoiler alert, but the friend dies, and then they don't have any
What's
money.
funny about their
and then
friend
he
dying?
says, I assure you, this is the most reasonably priced receptacle. And then he's like, screw this. And he gets a Folgers can from the Circle K. And then they put his friend in the Folgers can. And then they go up to the hill and they try to say a really serious message. And then he opens the can and the wind gusts right in his face like, everything's a travesty with you.
Is that what he says? Everything's a travesty with you?
It might have been effing travesty, but it was really that was my Big Lebowski in 5 minutes. There's lots of other things. Like when there's like the really drugged out trip where they play the Kenny Rogers. I just dropped
It might be like that other film we saw a trailer for today where the guy
maybe it was too close to your
gets
life.
punched in the face.
It was too close to your life.
And he's like, what did you get me into? I was like, there's nothing about that film that I want to watch and that I haven't lived through in the 90s.
100%. That's probably what it was.
I do think that maybe I had actually
too close to your life experience.
You know, Harold.
Yeah.
I met Harold minus 15 walking from the office that Paul and I kept.
Yeah.
To the Planet, which is now the Purple something.
Purple
And
Perk?
yeah, and we went, and there was a space that had been like bulldozed down. It's probably a condos by now. But Harold was walking down the street in his bathrobe and slippers, minus like not minus 30, but cold enough like minus 15 that he should have had pants on. And he was on his way to get coffee. And I think to some extent, when I think of like people in bathrobes, like Kevin wears his bathrobe almost all the time. Once he gets out of school, he goes home and he puts his bathrobe on. And I own a bathrobe, but like I put it on when I'm being funny. It's not like a useful piece of clothing. You couldn't fight ninjas in a bathrobe.
Oh, no.
And is there a point in that film where he has to defend himself while he's wearing a bathrobe?
It doesn't go well.
It upsets me so much that he wouldn't be dressed with his.
No, it's not about defending yourself because he abides. Like there's no defending himself. It's like
I don't know what that means.
The dude abides.
What's that got to do with the bathrobe?
Well, like he's not fighting it; he's abiding.
In The Watchmen, this reminds me of a scene in The Watchmen where one of their guys goes down in a bathrobe. It's tragic. You can't win a fight in a bathrobe. Yeah.
Yeah. So
lesson number 1 from tonight. You can't win a fight in bathrobe.
I wonder if I should tell the story. I'll tell you a story about someone I knew in a precarious situation. Let's say someone I knew was dating somebody, and the concern was that the person the story is about was dating somebody, and the person that they were dating had been involved with a maniac who used steroids on the regular, and the previous boyfriend had broken in and beat the snot out of her most recent boyfriend, but before he had a chance to get dressed. So I was staying at this place because the story is really about me, and I'm not going to say under what conditions I was staying, but all I knew was that the second last boyfriend had broken down the door and kicked the shit out of the last boyfriend. And then the second last boyfriend had showed up when I was crashing at this place. And I remember thinking, like, if I have my shoes, I can defend myself. But I don't think I could defend myself against an enraged steroid monster naked without my, not naked, because obviously.
But like with your.
Without my shoes.
Yeah.
So I needed my shoes upstairs on the off chance that the door got kicked in. And I don't mean naked either. I mean like just like in sleeping attire, right? Like, because I was more just stuck there. I wasn't like
in your jammies.
What? Yeah. Well, I wasn't there in a situation where it would make sense for the previous boyfriend to want to fight me. I was there because I had nowhere else to stay. If that makes any sense, or sounds more.
But yeah, like you said, even just having slippers rather than army boots.
No, I didn't want slippers.
That's what I mean.
I wanted either sneakers. I just needed something for traction.
You need your Chucks or steel toe boots. And
sometimes you don't have those things, because actually, here's another story that's of the same vein. Is I lived in the loft with about 20 different artists. We were joking about this the other day because I was the only straight person there, and they called me Breeder. And at one point, near the end of this legacy, Carl had moved a soccer star champion into the apartment on the breach, because it was always artists up until that point. And there was a bit of a culture clash when the jocks moved into this apartment. And so one of the concerns was that I was friends with this roommate. The other roommates didn't really talk to her because she was kind of like outside of the circle, but they needed to fill a spot. And so I used to stay up really late, and we did like basic cable, and I'd watch like Eliminate on my couch.
Yeah. And
so this person I had nothing in common would often stay up late and watch Eliminate, and we'd laugh and talk about the show. And the values and the culture of this person was so different from me. And she would often pay rent with her career as a waitress. She would also come home having won the wet t-shirt contest. And she was dating the biggest guy I've ever seen in my entire life. Like Lou Ferrigno, also bodybuilder, probably also using steroids. He was just freaking giant, and like even like his fingers were the size of my hands. And he did not like the artsy fartsy types that lived in her apartment, but for some reason he didn't mind me. And a lot of times, like if I was at home, I'd be just kind of sociable and chat with him if he's waiting for her in the kitchen to get home or what have you. And so how can I tell this story? She had a guest in the house that wasn't her giant sized boyfriend. And I was watching TV because my TV was kind of in the common area, and she had like the loft space above. And so I did know that she had a friend over, and that it wasn't the kind of friend that her monstrosity of a boyfriend would have wanted her to spend time with. But they had a relationship where it was understood that she was free to do whatever she wanted, right? So the doorbell starts banging on the door, and only one person can shake the building the way that the store was shaking. So he's in a bad mood, and we can tell he's. And she sticks her head down her ladder, and she goes, "Hey, Rich, that's Ian. Can you tell him to leave?" And I was like, with what? With what will I tell him to leave?
With what?
And she's like, just get rid of him. So like, and then she kind of goes back into her own space. And so now I walk down the stairs, and there's a couple of flights of stairs because there's a big loft. And I open the door, and he almost pushed past me, and I just kind of raised my hands up and filled the space, right? Like not in an aggressive way, but just like a.
It's like.
And I remember I remember him looking at me deadpan. He's like, "Is she in there?" I'm like, all I can really tell you is that she's not taking visitors right now, right? Like, and I must have pulled that out of some 18th century novel, but she will not be receiving guests right now, I think is what I said. And he just looked at me like, you tiny toothpick of a man, there's no way you can stop me. And he started to step up the stairs. I remember I just kept my hands up and I said, this isn't cool because you know I can't stop you, and I know I can't stop you, but we both know that I got to try and stop you, and that's not cool because I like you, and I think you like me. And then he slowed to a freeze, and he's like, you're lucky, and then he leaves. And I just remember like the rationale of, let's acknowledge I can't stop you, but it's my job to try and stop you. And I think I've had that conversation a number of times, even with like street thugs, where it's like, I might not be able to beat all 5 of you, but it's my job to give it my best. And that's going to go badly for all of us.
Look.
I said, you're putting me in a really awkward position. Is that a funny story?
Yeah.
And then he did not harm me, and he did not murder the person upstairs.
Good, no murder.
For whatever they were doing.
You did good.
Am I telling personal stories that I shouldn't?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm putting this away. I need to watch some YouTube videos and get some oil. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a courageous story. You saved a life.
Yeah. Like multiple lives.
Did you say I saved my life?
A life.
No, yeah. No, you risked yours.
Yeah. That part really sucks. That's the part that really sucks because my subconscious brain goes into problem solving. And my subconscious brain is way more noble than my actual brain. My actual brain just wants to live. My subconscious brain has these like senses of like obligation. It's more like I'm forward remembering, if I don't say something now, I'm going to feel really bad about this tomorrow. So I say something knowing that it's going to hurt. And I remember I was in a staff meeting once at school, and they handed out the supervision schedule, and my arm went up. I'm like, why is my arm up? And then I heard my mouth go, I'm not on the supervision schedule. And all the people I work with were like, stupid. You never tell them when you're not on the, once in in your entire teaching career, they're going to forget to put you on that supervision schedule. You don't tell them you're not on the supervision schedule job. But I remember watching my hand go up and thinking, like, what's my mouth going to say? And then I heard you don't have to pick that up.
Oh my God.
You don't have to put it back down either.
Oh God, it's everywhere. I'm so sorry.
It's important that you don't touch my stuff. Right? That made it worse. So much worse.
I know. I apologize.
And then you're like judging me. You're like,
I wasn't judging you.
I love you. You're acting like you're empathizing, but you're actually judging me. Like you pick up my paintbrush and you whimper, like, "Oh, you poor dear." But what you really mean is, get that off my table.
That is not what I thought.
And I'm getting defensive here. It's almost as though you're wondering if I'm going to clean it up, but I can't because you've already put your hands on it. It's hard being me. And I know I'm the bad guy, so I'm just gonna live with it.
You're not the bad guy.
What's happening with Donald Trump these days? Is he?
Why would we talk about that?
I don't know. Maybe he's giving up on this whole tariff thing.
Sorry.
No, I'm just
about done getting this out of the way.
Great. Well, there's some ink here.
No, I don't care.
That's what you want to clean up.
No.
Some stuff.
Oh, now I got it. Look at the key. So nice.
Or farther back. Oh, there you go.
Okay. Stress gone.
I'll give you $100 to take that off the table.
I'm trying. I just wanted to not lift it without it being properly attached, or else everything would be broken.
That was the longest week of my life when you started fixing that. And then when it moved, I was just like, I just want to move this out of my way, which is selfish because I have half the table taken up here. But I wanted to move this out of my way, and then I wanted to start another one.
It's the wind chimes you're hearing.
You know what it is? It's the wind chimes in coordination with the funky light. Because the funky light's blinking, and it feels like the wind chimes. Is it storming out?
I think it's like pretty windy.
Before you get set up, do you have room for me to stash this paper over by your cup?
Yes.
That's why I was like so anxious for you to get the sewing machine all the way.
I have a collection of thread and nails.
Sneak into that corner. Zach, have you ever seen the movie Rad?
I've seen clips. I've seen parts of it. It
was about BMX.
Yeah.
My friend Paul was in that film. Can you please move those?
Yeah.
You don't have to get rid of them. I just want you to temporarily move them while I slide this across.
I'll slide up there.
Yeah. And now bring your stuff back.
Yeah.
So can I tell you a little bit about it?
Yeah.
It was shot in Cochrane. It was cast in Calgary. My friend Paul was in, like, you can see him for like an eighth of a second in the scene where they have a BMX dance off. And
so rad.
They got a BMX professional BMX racer to star in the film. It was his first film, and then they got a couple of the bad guy was Bart Connors, like an American Olympic gymnast, but he had like the blonde hair and the perfect teeth. And I think the lady that was the mom in Full House that like disgraced herself by trying to pay for her kid to get into university was the love interest. Am I boring you yet?
This is close.
Okay. So the point that I wanted to make is that the film is about this guy that was involved in BMX, kind of at a time that BMX was kind of a fringe activity, that not everybody was riding BMX. It was kind of like a few oddballs were riding BMX. And one of the things he was trying to do on his spare time in the film was learn how to do a backflip on his BMX bike. And so he had a ramp and some mattresses in every few scenes or so. It would go back to him trying to do a backflip on his BMX bike. Just the hilarity of him crashing. In the end of the film, he goes to race on Hell Track, and Bart Connors, the bad guy, cheats during the race and ends up putting him far behind in the race. But he uses his backflip to win the race, and
yes,
and the story ends happily. Now, I was in grade 5 when I saw this film, but I noticed a pattern because, say, like Karate Kid would be his kid's the underdog, and he goes into a fringe activity, which at that time was karate. And then he picks up this special skill of the crane kick just on a curiosity, and they show him practicing the crane kick. And then the blonde guy, usually a blonde guy, cheats in the competition, and then he uses the crane kick to win the competition. And then there's a film called Hackers where they combined both programming and rollerblading, because I don't think programming was active enough. They added in 2 fringe activities, coding or hacking and rollerblading, as though those things are connected. But
double down.
You can pick. There's several skateboarding films. There was Gleaming the Cube and bunch, and it's always the same film, and it's always the same narrative, that there is an underdog, and he has a hobby that's not very popular, and then he specializes one trick within that hobby, and then he gets in a competition, and the mainstream kids cheat, and then he uses his special trick to defeat the cheaters. And like, if you want to play a game where you give me any fringe activity, graffiti, anything, I'll tell you what film they did, where like breakdancing. There's even one about a snare drum player, and what happens is he's an underdog snare drum player, and he does this little riff that he practices. He goes, and I remember watching the commentary on this because I used to like rent movies and then watch the commentary because I just I didn't have cable or anything. And the drum assistant on the commentary is like, just to let you know, this riff means nothing. We just needed some random thing that they could compete over. And I think there's a bunch of cheerleading films and dance movies and breakdance movies and graffiti. But this theme is so prevalent that chess that since the 80s, they've done hundreds of movies that have the exact same story. And it started with me thinking, oh, this is rad, but with fixed gears instead of BMX. And the fixed gear version, there's 2 fixed gear films for rad. One is kind of a weak explanation. No, actually, I think it fits the formula quite well, which would be Quicksilver. And then the other one is a more recent one with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And I haven't seen that one, but I was trying to explain this to my friend. So I looked it up on the computer to see what is, if you apply this formula, how does Joseph Gordon-Levitt's story fit the formula? And he's got this ability to have a premonition of how he's going to sneak through the curves. And in the final scene, after everybody's cheated, he uses his skill of premonition and the limitation, it's always a limitation, that his bike won't use brakes is what becomes the thing that saves the day. And it's not the hero's journey. The hero's journey is like an ancient formula for stories. And then there's another story called the Maverick or the Genius version where, and that's usually about classes. Usually there's like an underclass person who has a particular genius in a certain area, and their genius will elevate their classes. Whereas this story that I'm talking about, the fad story, is really a story where some undercover, underappreciated person who's involved in a fringe fad will specialize a skill in that fad and then use it to win the day after cheating. And I cross-referenced a bunch of stuff. And what I found that was amazing, I couldn't find any reference. And I even used sometimes I use the AI. I used the AI. The AI was blown away that this thing doesn't have a name because it doesn't have a name. It hasn't been named. Another formula film I think would be like we were talking about the 90s. I sat in the theater and watched Trainspotting, and at that time I was a young man drinking beer and hanging out in the pubs with other writers that would, I didn't smoke a pipe, but I would have put patches on my elbows if I could. We were all sitting around talking about being writers when we were older, and almost everybody I knew had the idea of doing the Canadian train. Well, I'm working on a script. Like, oh, what's your script? I was like, oh, I'm making the Canadian Trainspotting. I was like, and we lived in this loft where you had to fight your way down the corridor every now and then. So, there was a Scottish Trainspotting that was Trainspotting. There was an English Trainspotting. There was a Welsh Trainspotting. There was a basically after Trainspotting, every studio wanted to do their own nation's Trainspotting. I don't think that has a genre name either, but it's interesting that there doesn't currently exist a name for the film that Rad has become. I don't know if Rad was the first one. It's just the first one that registered on me. And like it's happened to me a few times in my life, I'll discover something that needs a name and it won't have a name. And then within the next few years, somebody else will discover the name. So similar situations where I accidentally mixed blue with purple and green. Yeah. And then it took me 5 years to bring up the courage to try and make red, which is fuchsia and yellow, and blue, which was cyan and magenta.
And yellow.
Yeah, yellow was green and orange.
Yeah.
And by the time I'd broken down and proved that you could make the primary colors, there's lots of other people on the internet telling stories about making primaries out of colors. What was it? There was another weird one that oh yeah. So I was walking down the street. It's fine if you ignore this because this is maybe getting a little abstract and boring, but I was walking down the street with Elijah, and I noticed that there was a bump coming out of the shadow of the fence. So there was a fence and a very long shadow. You'll notice this at the not the equinox. What's the opposite of the equinox?
Solstice.
What's the opposite of the solstice? In between the equinox and the solstice, the middle.
There's like the 4 middle.
What are they?
Sabbaths. We just had Lunasa, which is like.
What I'm trying to say is, in
like,
between the shortest day and the longest day, there's the longest shadows. So
equinox is the
fall,
between the shortest and the
fall
longest.
and spring.
Yeah.
You get really long shadows, and say you're standing next to a pole, and the pole has a shadow. If you lean towards the pole, a mirror image of your face will pop out of the pole. And so you're being near a shadow, one shadow near another shadow, the shadows kind of reach out towards each other. It's very scary looking, because the shadow of my face is leaning towards the pole, and the pole is like a straight line. And if you lean towards the pole, my nose pops out of the pole and my lips pop out of the pole. And then by the time my eyebrows pop out of the pole, the illusion is kind of complete. That's about as far as it goes. And it's actually whichever is closer to the sun. So if the pole's between me and the sun and I lean over to the pole, my face will come out of the pole. If I move my body so that I'm between the pole and the sun, I lean over, and what happens is my head stretches in the shape of the pole towards the pole. And I remember discovering this, and I spent like 2 years and 20 scientists trying to find out the name for this. And I couldn't. And then at one point, about 5 years later, I saw somebody on the internet exploring, like, what's this called? And then I followed that thread, and it turned out it did have a scientific name, but it's kind of a rare phenomenon. It happens everywhere. You just don't notice it. So the rad story of the random skill that saves the day doesn't currently have a name, but I'm sure there must have been like a studio that said, listen, you know that movie Rad? We're going to do that, but with rollerblades.
We're going to do that, but with Rubik's Cube.
They've never made a movie about Rubik's Cubes, but they've used Rubik's Cubes to establish that quirkiness in about 20 different films for other things. So like in Pursuit for Happiness, they specifically used a Rubik's Cube to indicate that he was a genius. But there wouldn't be like a Rubik's Cube.
Scott, that's exactly it. He was that's the Whiplash. That's the drum movie he was talking
Whiplash
about.
Isn't it? The one I'm thinking about is Drumline.
Oh, Whiplash is a good movie.
Whiplash is a good film, and it's about a drummer and his mentor, but I think Whiplash fits in a more traditional, and it's a good film. The thing about Whiplash is actually kind of subverts some of the expectations of where you think it's going. I'm talking about when they don't subvert. So the movie Drumline is a better example of the random skill saves the day. What did I call it? I gave it a name.
Fad.
This rad fad archetype, your archetypal story.
Yeah,
it's cool. It's cool. You're onto something.
Give me a film. Oh, well, I'm sure you would say graffiti, right?
Yeah.
But also golf. There's probably a same film for golf as well.
Happy Gilmore 2. Shout out Adam Sandler.
Hold on. I think Happy Gilmore is a comedy, but parallel to its comedy, I think it probably he's a hockey player.
Yeah.
Is a slap shot involved?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Does a hockey player use a slap shot to win the golf?
Yeah, you can say that.
Does that happen?
Yeah.
I've seen the clip where he fights Bob Barker.
Yeah.
If it's true that he's a hockey player, I think I've seen this much from the trailer. He's a hockey player, and then he gets into golfing, and then he perfects. If he was just maybe because he's perfected the art of slap shot anyways. He's got this weird trick in his pocket. It loosely holds on to the premise, but I think the film I'm talking about that's reoccurs so specifically that you would actually see if Happy Gilmore wasn't a comedy and meant to be one of these genre films.
Yeah, gotcha.
You would just randomly be like practicing slap shots with golf balls in the alley, and you'd be expected to not go, oh, that's going to be the winning story arc. You know?
Right.
It'd be more like he was a golfer and a hockey player, and when he's really frustrated, he goes out to the backyard and he uses his hockey stick and he slap shots the the golf balls at the back of the garage, and so you wouldn't see how that's going to twist into the.
Right.
I do remember also because I think I saw Gleaming in the Cube not too long after I saw Rad, and that was Christian Slater, and he was a skateboard kid, and skateboarding at that time was kind of an outsider activity, and he had to defeat the bad guys by using his skateboard to roll down a hill really fast. And so there was a scene there where he just arbitrarily tells his friend that he needs his skateboard set up with different wheels and he needs the trucks really tight, which actually, as a kid, thought that was pretty cool because somebody who wrote the script knew about death wobbles, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I got you.
That was not cool. That's the kind of shit that I do when everybody gets mad at. But you're like, I'm cute because I love you.
Love you too.
All right. What about this?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So in the next year or so, that arc will, and it's just a parallel thing that you have an idea and it bounces into the universe. Kind of like,
yeah, this is.
I was thinking about art battles for 10 years before I enacted one. And then art battles, Australia, art battles, America, and then finally art battles Canada came along. And had to have a showdown with art battles Canada to discuss who invented it.
Showdown.
It's the morphogenetic field, you know, who invented the canoe first, you know? We all did it all at the same time.
There was 8 people.
Or who domesticated a horse first, you know? It's like we all got it. You know.
There was 8 people who were working on the theory of relativity. No, on the theory of evolution at the same time. It so happened, though, that Darwin had started working on it in his early 20s and sat on it for 60 years. So when he found out other people were going to publish about the theory of evolution, obviously there's other things going on in science that are pushing to parallel discoveries, but he just had the work done. So he published first and became like this renowned genius for discovering evolution, discovering the theory of evolution. But he wasn't the only one working on it at the time. And then this is something I find really interesting. It kind of works into my sense of isolation. When Einstein came up with the theory of relativity, they say that there's only 4 mathematicians and scientists that were smart enough to understand the math behind what he was proposing. Which means, like, if you took 1,000 of the best mathematicians in the world and presented his math work, 996 of them would have looked at his work and thought, this doesn't really line up. But luckily, the 4 smartest guys were like, nah, it's solid. Do better math. But if those 4 guys were sick that day, they would have just laughed at him as a heretic, you know?
We're going to have to get out the conspiracy jar.
Which part?
All the way to the top.
The thing about Einstein?
Yeah. Oh,
Interesting, because I would consider that history, but why not call it conspiracy, right? Like maybe the Rumble House is conspiracy. Who's going to prove it? Can't prove it was there. You can show me pictures. They could be Photoshop.
AI.
I was there. You were there, but maybe neither of us are real. You know.
Yeah, you can't take my word for it.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. Problem with nihilism is it's a waste of time to argue about. Like, no, nothing matters. Like, well, then why?
Just ends up, every conversation ends up it's non-dual.
Yeah.
Yes implies no.
On a side note, Amanda said about the what is it? Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah.
He wants to be a hockey player that could not get into the NHL, but the power from his hitting pucks made him make powerful shots in golf. So it kind of was.
Did he have a hockey stick that was shaped like a golf club that was shaped like a hockey stick?
Did, yeah.
Let's see, I don't. By the way, I don't think it's like completely
like
separate from.
No,
it, but it's not as bang on as the films I'm thinking. Like the films I'm thinking of are absolute copies of themselves. And the other thing is, some of them are even big budget movies, like Tom Cruise. There's Tom Cruise, and he just happens to fly his jet upside down and scares off the Russians, and then he gets into real combat. And I haven't seen this movie since I was a kid, but I would dare to bet that he scared them off by flying upside down. Did that happen?
I don't know. But Zach was going to say something.
Sorry, Zach.
No, Top Gun 2, what are we talking about?
I have not seen Top Gun 2. I'm afraid I'll end up becoming a Scientologist. 25 cents to the jar.
Yeah.
Let's see how many times we can put coins in the jar tonight.
Starting with Einstein?
He didn't exist.
Oh, yeah. Well, no.
He
That's
existed.
pushing it.
Did he play the violin? Did he marry his cousin?
Maybe.
He did. He married his cousin.
Oh, really?
Did he
Thin.
not know how to tie his shoes? Want to know something? Einstein knew how to tie his shoes.
Yeah,
He was a little absent-minded, but it wasn't true that he couldn't tie his shoelaces.
Mm-hmm.
It was true that he would play the violin with strangers. He would walk around with his violin, kind of Bill Murray style, show up at their houses and just start jamming with them on the violin. It's also true that he tried to get his own address from the security guard at the university when he got lost and couldn't find his way home, which I empathize with because I often get lost and can't find my way home. Do you have that problem at all, or do you have a good sense of direction?
Yeah, I know where I'm at mostly.
I consider myself a pretty bright guy. I have the worst case of direction of anybody I know. And I used to be like, why would I have all these gifts but not be able to find my way home? Like, that seems like a pretty basic skill. But then I realized, should I admit that I was meant to be a barbarian, it would be fairly consistent that I wouldn't need to waste brain capacity on finding my way home. I would just dislodge somebody and take their home each night. Steal something new.
It got
are you painting my painting?
Well, it got like wrecked when I took it home from the Blues Fest. Would you like to fix the unicorn horse?
I think that's how I made it.
No, it got squished in my.
I still think that's how I made it.
Okay, then I won't touch it.
No, you can touch it. I'm just shocked by your brazen. Like, I'm just gonna finish your painting for you, Rich.
I'm not finishing it.
You do what you want to do. I was trying to say I was impressed, and you're arguing with me. Welcome to my life.
Defensive about you being impressed about.
Yeah, I'm trying. We'll have a jar in this house, and every time I'm impressed with you, I'll put a quarter in the bucket. We had a really nice time at Blues Fest.
Oh, how good is painting at scale, hey?
I haven't done that in 6 months.
Those big signs, that doesn't count?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah.
Here's a funny thing. I find really large images super easy to pull off. And I had this theory when I was a kid that I would see people that couldn't really do a photorealistic painting and definitely couldn't do a photorealistic small hand drawing, pulling off these giant wall murals that looked like photographs. And I did wonder if there was something about large that's more forgiving, because like, especially in the 90s, a lot of the murals could be so like photorealistic And I would wonder, like, how is it? Like, I know that guy. I know he doesn't draw well. How did he make that car look like a photograph up on that building? Then I was talking to one of our figure drawing models that worked with one of those artists, and she said it was because he was using a projector.
Oh, busted.
And then she said, well, because you can't do a mural without a projector. And I was like, I've done lots of murals without projectors.
Oh no! Have you seen the goggles, the augmented reality muralists?
I'm not bothered by any of that. I don't see any difference between, and I think I wrote about it in my book because I observed somebody I knew used a projector.
Yeah.
Pretending to grid. So they put a grid on their painting so it looked like they didn't use a projector, but I happen to know that they used a projector. Or I remember going to a studio visit to a friend and he had a shirt jauntily throw it over to the projector. And when I looked, I would look over and like kind of grimace if I saw the projector. And he's like, you use projector, don't you? I'm like, well, I'm not against it. I'm not against people using projectors. I just I feel like I empathize with the untrained people that would look at a projector and think it was a cop-out, right? So it's not that I think it's a cop-out. It's that I can empathize that if you're not an artist and if you're not dependent on a projector, how that might be perceived. But I also, I own a projector instead of a TV. And I like to find ways that using a projector can make my life really difficult. So there's certain times when I'll like think of a way to make a projector into like a real hassle for myself.
Hassle?
And then no, I'm good. You know how you'll know I want your help?
You will ask.
I promise I will ask for help. I'm like notorious for asking you for too much help. So like I'll think of ways to make my life more difficult with a projector and then I'll leap on it. Like one time I decided I wanted to do a stereoscopic painting of the gallery. And so what I did is I went outside and I took a photograph of the gallery from across the street. And then I moved a foot over and I took a second photograph of the gallery from a foot to the left. So I had two different versions of the gallery that would be kind of equivalent that what you'd see between each eye if you're standing across the street. I had to move like a whole foot because the camera is more specific than the eyeball. I went inside and I took both photos and I put them into Photoshop. I put the one main photo in the back. I put the other photo in the front. I selected the edges with a huge blur and deleted the outer edge of the front photo. And then I reduced it 75% because I'd already blurred out so much of it that when I took out 75%, it made it a 50% overlay of the first one. So what you had was in the center of the painting, everything's clear the way you'd see it. At the edges of the painting, there was a fuzzy devil image that you would have if you're looking at that building
with your eye
through two eyes from across the street. And then I painted it out using that projector. So I had a painting, very simple painting of a building that I could draw from memory. And I was using the lens on the projector to simulate what the outer edges blurring apart would look like if I was actually looking at the building with my eyes. And it left the painting with such a weird, surreal, you kind of felt dizzy standing in front of it. It wasn't like super realistic in the sense that I made the skin surface look like the skin of a building. It was super realistic in the way that it lined up with how your eyes perceive. Mm-hmm. And then my nemesis came in, who I know can't draw without a projector. And he was so perplexed at what he was looking at. And I saw him like stop. He stuck his finger in his mouth and he went to speak and then he froze and then he stopped. And I could see him trying to formulate his questions. And that's what I would do with the projectors. I would specifically make paintings to mess with the minds of people that were using projectors to make their lives easier, and making paintings that were almost impossible to conceive of. Or I would take like a space where I couldn't use a projector and find a way to make it that I could use it in that space by using my brain. And then, like for instance, I had a friend that did a wall mural and it was really off center, but if you stood in the middle of the street, you could see that not only that he used a projector, but you could actually find where the projector was projecting from. Mm-hmm. There's also, hey Zach, have you ever seen those? Like, it'll be like a junk pile, but when you walk around, it turns into like the face of, Van
Gogh.
Van Gogh, or the face of some famous person. I think I'm just talking.
Oh, he's muted.
Oh,
sorry. I was.
I think it was Mark Twain. Have you ever seen like the pile of garbage, but when you walk around to a certain point, it turns into the face of Mark Twain?
Mm.
The way they do that is they simply project Mark Twain's face into a junk pile, and then they get somebody moving things around, and you have to be standing at the point where,
Oh.
and then you stand where the projector was, and it will recreate Mark Twain's face, right? That said, sometimes those things that look the hardest are really the easiest. And I think I was saying, I'm sure I've told you this before, is that this one kid looked at a painting I did of Jess. I painted Jess 1,000 times. I can do her from memory. And I was looking at her when I was painting her, but it ended up super hyper real. And this kid I barely knew said, "Did you paint that freehand?" And I think what he meant was, did I use a projector? And so what I did was I took that painting that I just finished, and I recreated it on my Etch-a-Sketch with similar precision. And when I showed him on the Etch-a-Sketch, he was like, "Okay, never mind." Like, and I figure if I can draw it on an Etch-a-Sketch, I can do whatever I want. I don't have to. But I also think that maybe when people are using projectors for things they couldn't do without the projector, that's where the cheat comes in. Is like, if you can't do it without the projector.
And that's where, like you said, that people get the sense that it's making it easier rather than harder.
Well, also with AI, right? Yeah. If you're doing the thinking with AI and creating the source work with AI, and then using a projector to create the larger artwork, you're kind of skipping the part where you're taking part in the art making. And I think what's going to be left to artists in the next decade is the ability to interact with people while you're making art. I think it's going to be essential that people see the art being made. Felix is talking about theater camp next year, and I was a little hesitant, thinking, like, I don't know what's going to happen with theater in the near future. But when then I found out it was improv camp, I'm like, I'm for improv camp so hard. Like, what a great idea. Improv camp. I love it. Because I think that's where it's going to be at, is doing artwork in front of people, interacting with people during the art making, and having that sense of trust rebuilt. Did I just bump you while you're painting?
Yeah, but it's okay.
Ironically, I think I was irritated that you bumped me while I was reaching. And the real crime was me bumping you while you were painting.
Look at that eyeball.
Can you do something for me?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me how many pads a cat has on its feet?
Well, if it's a polydactyl, it has 6, I think.
Pads, not.
Like how many beans?
How many pads?
Toe beans.
Huh?
Little toe beans.
Little
Kitty cats. Little toe beans.
Yeah.
Ah, they're so cute. 4.
Okay. What?
Just look at that one little paw forever. Little beans.
Yeah. So we were talking about getting a pet, and it occurred to me that the only reason I thought I was a dog person was because I'm pretty sure my mom did most of the dog keeping. And then as an adult, I realized maybe I would like a cat because they're more independent. But I remember when I was young, if somebody was talking about being a cat people or dog people, and they say they like cats because they're more independent, I think I would have thought, well, isn't the point of having a pet so that you have somebody that's
To play with.
you can interact with? But 100% now, I think I would like a cat, and I would like it to be an independent cat. And I do remember when we worked at the gallery, that I would have really liked it to be an independent cat that enjoyed eating mice.
Yeah. With maybe only like one eye.
Yeah.
Or like both eyes, but like 3 legs and still really agile.
Mm-hmm. Zach?
Yeah.
Did you get to Mundy Park?
No, I gotta need an extension on my homework. Teach.
Oh, that's why Kelly's not here tonight.
Oh.
What was her assignment? I feel like I
To
gave her.
read.
I think I gave her a pretty. Yeah, read the book she owns already. I think that's a pretty reasonable expectation.
And you just said for a few minutes.
Like 5 minutes reading.
Zach had a harder assignment. But it'll be a good moment when he gets there. I think no time limit. I think that's just really fun.
The time limit's for me. I'm like, tell me how much you love that park.
Right. Actually, that's kind of like when you get to read a book that with someone else. It's like then you get to share it. It's like if you go to Mundy Park, you'll also get to share the beauty.
We're good.
Okay, I'm on it. Now that it's not an assignment, I got some feels about it.
Still on assignment.
Okay, all right.
And I'm taking 10% off.
Oh. Blood from a stone.
You know, I've never done that. Guess what else I've never done? Never given it attention.
Nice. What's the alternative? Was that sarcastic?
No, it's not sarcasm. Of course, you'd never give a detention.
Then I have to stay after school.
I was gonna say
Oh yeah.
like staying at lunch is like then I don't get a lunch. Like screw that.
But I'll often
Yeah.
kids, listen, I've been teaching for 20 years and I haven't given it attention. Do you really want to be my first attention?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Ooh.
They'll be like,
Undefeated.
yeah. And the other thing I say to them, and I use this at the gallery and I also use this at school, is like, look, by the time Rich Teru gives up on you, you have a problem. And almost all of the people go, that tracks. Even the worst villains are like, okay, I don't want to be the guy that Rich Teru gives up on because that guy's a sucker.
Or that guy has an immense amount of
Patience?
yeah.
Do you like Muhammad Ali?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love Muhammad Ali.
Who couldn't? How can't you? What a human specimen.
Well, I'm at an age where
That guy's an example.
my mom still thought that Muhammad Ali became a Muslim because he didn't want to go to war. So despite what my mom said about Muhammad Ali, I just thought he was amazing. And then Jess and I will teach these kids that are kind of deciding who they are. And often they'll come to school and like, my name was Monica, but now it's Mike. And from the early days, it kind of says in my file that I'm not good at respecting those boundaries because I will call a kid by the name they ask me to. Technically, I'm not allowed to until they get like the paperwork done. But that scene where Ali was, what was his name?
Lester.
Yeah.
Something.
He on purpose called him
His
Cassius
name.
Clay instead of Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad Ali just tortured him. He's like, what's my name? What's my name? And I totally can empathize with like, yeah, I could have knocked that guy out in round 3, but I'm going all the rounds.
50
Oh yeah.
What's my name? But because he just wanted to irritate him and refused to call him Muhammad Ali.
Oh,
Cassius Clay. And I think naming yourself
that's awesome.
important part of your identity, right? Like you and your 3-letter name, that's actually something that's very valid and something that I probably defend to the death, right? You're choosing a name Ernie Terrell, and being willing to put your freedom on the line to express yourself for the beautification of your neighborhood. There are a lot of really noble reasons to get out there and paint on a wall, but even if it's just being crazy, it's like that's a very powerful stance to say,
"It's my name."
Yeah, this is my name. I exist. I think it's the basis of being an artist.
Well, you think
wanting to leave a record of
it was like
of your
the cave
existence.
paintings. Those were people saying, "I'm here."
Yeah.
Even if that wasn't what they were saying, like their intention.
No, they weren't. They're like, I'm here. I exist.
Yeah.
Believe in me.
I'm real.
And that's not even a decision. It's my glitch. Just like I used to walk around touching windows because I was afraid I was going to disappear if I stopped touching things for a second. So.
Yeah, Ken Burns did a documentary on Ali, and
it's so
we've
good.
just been like eating it.
I like because Felix doesn't want to be like a boring grown-up academic, and so a lot of times we'll put on like a historical documentary, and he'd be like, "I'm going to go in my room," and then but you can hear him getting lured into the story because they're good stories. He comes back and he starts asking questions, and he gets all wrapped up, and then he remembers he's supposed to be a teenager, so he goes back in his room to play video games, but he's still listening, and then you're trying to drive him home, and he's like, "So, how many fights did Muhammad Ali win?" You're like, "You're gonna have to watch the documentary, my friend." And then he went home, and like we were working up to the Rumble in the Jungle, which had such a profound effect on me that when I was trying to seek out a name for my second art gallery, I came up with the name Rumble House. The episode about Rumble in the Jungle was on last night. Felix had to go home and Jess fell asleep, and I was just sitting there on the couch going, "Guess we're watching this again at Christmas," like.
Or like many times, like tonight.
Yeah.
Because it's so good. Like,
yeah.
And like I was saying, I felt bad. I was like, maybe I fell asleep during that one because I knew that story so well. It was like, I fall asleep when I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
And I was super comfortable laying there. Like the storytelling is so beautiful. Ken Burns does such a beautiful job storytelling. With like the people who are speaking.
Okay, a comedy reference. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Because
it's a weird time.
Wait, though, I've seen a comedy and I thought it was funny.
Oh, that's good.
I laughed. I pissed myself. I laughed so hard.
Okay.
I thought I do that thing where I don't laugh for like 3 years, but when I do, one of my eyeballs is going to explode. Yeah. And it was something about Mary. And
so good.
Yeah. And then when he got his nuts stuck in his zipper, for some reason, I thought that was so funny that I might have needed an ambulance. But the dad in that show, very famous actor, I forget his name.
I don't know if I've seen it all. I think we tried to watch it again.
He's a very famous actor. But he's that guy, you don't know his name. Well, something about Mary. I think he's the like permanent narrator for Ken Burns films. It sort of sounds like you might be listening to James Earl Jones, but it's not. It's this guy. Do you know who I'm talking about? Do you recognize the narrator's voice?
Just as like the guy who always narrates, Ken Burns.
That's how we discovered Willis Conover. Do you remember Mary's dad?
No.
This guy. Keith David.
Oh!
I'm going to check and see if Keith David did.
The narrating?
Gettysburg Address, King of the Hill, Duster, Omniscient, Finding Faith, Family Guy, Gremlins, Abbott Elvis Sneaks. Oh my God. I don't know what year that Ali thing was done. Narrator. Ali. Ken Burns. I think that should be enough to get me there.
Did you do it?
Not Keith David.
Nicely done.
I know, right? I'm good with voices.
You are. That's your auditory. You're very like.
Yep.
Look,
That's my superpower glitch.
It's not really a cormorant, but I was trying to do it.
Yeah, it's nice.
Bird.
It's a bird dog. Johnny is a joker. He's a dog. A very funny joker. What a dog. What I said, Keith David. Keith David is one of my favorite character actors. Like if I knew he was in a film, I've always felt blessed to see him in a film. He kind of reminds me of, there's a few people that just like steal every film that they're in, and Keith David is one of those guys.
Yeah, you're right. You always see him, but then you don't, like, I didn't know his name until right now.
Like he feels like family.
Yeah.
Was he in They Live? If he was,
Do you have to put money in the jar for even bringing that film up?
He's in They Live. Keith David. It's one of my favorite actors, and I didn't know his name. He's even more than he's where the phrase MF sticks in my head the most. Wait, I'm not allowed to mention what was the movie I just said?
They Live.
They Live. Is that one of your movies? You can't say that?
No, it's a good. That's just an eye opener.
An eye opener because of the glasses.
Because of the glasses. When was it made?
In the cheese years. It was made in It was made in a vat of cheese.
Yeah. It ain't easy being cheesy.
What's the cheesiest thing you've ever done? Like cringe cheesy, like
this show. Like, oh, just kidding.
Okay.
What? Oof. I don't know. Maybe like those Lime scooters. That was dorky. What else?
Lime scooters? Oh, you know what would be brutal? Is if you had a Lime scooter injury.
Oh.
I'll tell you, breaking my arm on my motorcycle in December wasn't cool. It almost would have been cooler if I was riding the motorcycle.
What?
I rode my motorcycle to go visit my mom. And I was standing on the ice when I put it up on the center peg, and I slipped and I dropped it. And my brain didn't want to drop my motorcycle. So I caught it, but I broke my arm catching it. And then I had to go in an ambulance to the hospital to have my arm just relocated. And I kept telling Jessie that she should ditch the helmets, and she was hearing me say, like, don't worry about carrying the helmets. And she's like, I can carry the helmets. And I'm like, you can't bring helmets to the hospital in the winter. And they were so mean to me at the hospital. Like, did this asshole really just break his arm on a motorcycle in December? And then I was admitting to a friend of mine, I was like, you know what? It almost felt like they're being mean to me. I know I tell the same stories every week, by the way, but I also have faith that nobody's listening. But Neil says, all I hear is motorcycle winter in December. And I was like, okay, I hear you. There's going to be no pity for me today. I wanted a pity party. I did not get a pity party. See, that's a phrase I know. Pity party. Let's think of some other really painfully cheesy moments. I got one. So, like, one summer when I was working at the Stampede, I met a girl from another school that I thought was cute. And I was going to ask her out, but she kind of asked me out. And then, so we went and hung out. And I think right away she realized I was not the guy for her, because she was kind of wealthy and they all had cars, and that was like a thing. And I honestly wasn't until I was older, like maybe like this year, I realized that, like, to some young people, the status of having cars was like a real thing. I just thought it was like, oh, they probably think I'm cool because I can ride my bicycle as far as it doesn't matter. So school started, and this guy, Rich, on my wrestling team said, how's your summer? I was like, great. And he's like, oh, did you meet any chicks? Which was like, I think he was kind of making fun of me because I was kind of awkward. but I took the question kind of literally, and I started to explain that I did meet this one girl, but it didn't go anywhere. And it turned out he knew her, and it inferred like that he thought I was saying that I'd gone out with her, and I was just saying like I think I was kind of like slowly explaining that I met somebody that I kind of liked, but we were not the right match. And then within his inference, he kind of leapt into an assumption that maybe wasn't very gentlemanly on his part, and I did not react too quickly enough to. I was like slow processing, but he made an assumption and sort of blurted that out. And I remember, like, sort of like piecing together what he was inferring on the bus, and being mortified that I didn't correct the
inference.
Yeah, right. Like, because I just wasn't thinking, and also like.
And you weren't thinking like he was.
I 100% was pretty innocently not thinking. Like, just picture Felix in this situation.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't until later on that day I realized, oh, I've seen TV shows about this. This is the kind of thing Joey Jeremiah would do. And similarly, this other guy, Troy, I went to school with, liked a girl, and he told everybody he liked her, and then he meant to ask her out, but he started telling people he was going out with her before he did. And I just remember thinking that was like the lowest a human could sink. And somehow this conversation had gotten away on me that the guy on my wrestling team had made an assumption, leapt to an assumption, and announced it. And I went home without correcting it. So I remember like tracking him down the next day and like clarifying, just to be clear, like I did not go out with it. And he must have thought that sounded weird too. Like, anyhow, that was like a traumatic story that lives in my head all the time.
There's so many times where I've same thing, like thought about how other people could interpret it, and then had to like, did you mean this? And then like, I didn't mean that when I said this.
You and I have those all the time.
Yep. Well, like, except it's more like
that one that we're not going to mention.
No, but like with me, it's more like to bosses, because they'll be making like jokes, and then I'll just say like, haha, yeah, because I'm at school and I don't know what's happening because I'm just trying to survive.
Right.
And then I'll be like, Latin, I'll be like, oh my God, I should have said like, I don't think like that or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I have to go to school and like, and then my poor, like even current bosses are like, they see me waiting at their office, like, I just have to clarify something. And they're like, oh my God, stop thinking so much. Like, sorry, I have to say this and then I'll get it out of my head.
It sounds like you have a story to tell me.
Oh no, I told you about all of them. It's just like,
okay, I have another thing. I have
stuff.
another really super embarrassing story that occurred to me recently. Want to hear it?
Yeah.
There was this twerp that was like one grade lower than me at ACAD. So like I was in my second year, he was in his first year.
Yeah.
And the AU Arts, ACAD or ACA, whatever year you go, it has an inverted status that's the opposite of high school. In high school, the grade 12s are the bosses. They take over the lunchroom, and the grade 10s kind of squeeze where they can eat, right? Whereas at ACAD, it was the opposite, that the first years, the foundation year, was 300 students. Second years was 150 students. Third years was down to like 90 students, and fourth years was about 60 students. So the first years will be just mesmerized because they had the high school hierarchy in their head, right? 1 year out of high school. What they didn't know is your status internally as you go through the years is you get more and more sheepish as the young kids come in and take over the space, right?
And the big, yeah.
Right. So I don't remember the name of the guy that pulled me aside and said, "You're the new me." Okay. Like he was just this, like, first of all, I didn't think I was that guy, but he'd perceived himself as like the, like the art gigolo.
No.
Yeah. And like, I remember just being mortified that he had this conversation with me about how I was cramping his style. And I had no interest in that. I was so naive and like had no idea what he was talking about, really. Maybe I kind of thought because like when I was in arts high school, I was like an outsider with my jock friends because I was in art. And then with my art friends, I was an outsider because I was a jock. But when I got into art school, I purposely didn't like dye my hair blue and become like the, I hate my dad kid.
Yeah.
So I did have like maybe like you had a more you sort of like I was
Just-
probably the most normal,
Just generic, yeah. Like
most visibly and
yeah.
visually invisible my entire life during my art school years because I just didn't want to be like a joiner. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Like I still brushed my hair.
Right. So like this fourth year guy comes and tells me I'm the new him. And I furthermore didn't really understand what he was saying, but also was internalizing that it mattered to him. This is so awful. Okay. And then there was this really famous artist in my school who went off to New York and became the superstar and was also like coincidentally very good looking. Not that I'm saying I'm good looking. I'm saying the older guy who was good looking had pulled me aside and said like he thought I was going to be his replacement or what have you. And then there was this twerp that I couldn't stand, but probably in the same vein of dressing, didn't buy into that archetype of like blue hair that showed up a year below me. And he was the kind of guy that would be like always hitting on your girlfriend. And I remember I broke up with this girl and it was turmoil because we signed up for our classes together and 2 weeks later broke up. And it was a messy breakup. And then we had all our classes together. And that's when I got in the habit of taking student standby out to Vancouver because on Wednesdays I'd have like double ex-girlfriend. And so instead of going to school that day, I'd go to Vancouver. And I think it's where the nightmares where I skipped an entire semester and had to write an exam on a course I didn't take comes from, because near the end of the year, I'd gotten so out of the habit of going to the 2 classes, I had to pull off like 100% on both the final exams because I hadn't been attending those courses. And so I remember vividly right after I broke up with this girl, I think there must have been like a social event. And the next morning I'm in class, that twerp walks in. He doesn't think I'm looking. And he walks up behind me, bends over and like whispers in her ear. And she turned around and punched him because she's like, why would you do that in front of Rich kind of thing, which was decent of her to punch him over that. But I just thought this guy was the biggest twerp ever. And then this is where the story gets complicated. I was at a pub and he ended up at the table and we were having a few tasty beverages. And he was just trying to tell me about his life, and he didn't seem like a terrible person. And then I kind of sheepishly admitted that I was starting to see this thing where like this older person had seen me as an intrusion, because like the girls that he had been dating were like in my circles and then the girls that I'd been dating, you know what I mean? Like you're kind of crossing swords, if that's not too crude. Is that too crude? And anyhow, this is really important. This is a really worst part of the story. I was so drunk and also not really interested in anybody but myself, being such a megalomaniac, that I was so drunk. I was trying to tell the story. And the guy that had given me this speech, I forgot his name and just used a name of another guy that was kind of also in that vein. And you're not listening.
I'm listening.
So the other guy turned out to be this famous artist who's like people really look up to. And the twerp somehow through his volunteering efforts knew the other artist. And so I was admitting to him, like, maybe I hate you for the same reason this guy hated me. And then the twerp kind of goes, oh, I know that guy. And I think in that moment, being drunk, I realized I might have got the name wrong. And so it's only funny because I just remember like years later being mortified. I'm like, I don't think I was telling the right name. Right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like if you're like kind of going on about how like some like the popular girl a grade higher than you gave you this speech and you're talking to the popular girl the grade lower than you and she's like looking at you like you're nuts. And then later on you're like, I don't even think I used the right name, which means I told a completely fabricated story about this artist.
It's pretty funny.
I apologize for this entire broadcast. I'm sure if I had any friends before this broadcast, they're gone now. But I might be a little bit tired today and not thinking straight. Actually, today I almost took a nap. Other than the fact that I walk around telling people I never nap, it's probably the only thing that kept me up.
We were doing a lot today, actually.
Yeah, and also, like, if I've been waking up before you and going to bed later, it was weird to me that I was tired and you weren't. I was like, who am I? Did you see this?
Oh, fluff ball.
Yeah. Is it cute?
I love that.
I have too many waters going right now. Can't keep track.
I think that's just the hard part. Like what I was trying to say earlier is like, you're like the hard part about humaning is like you say something and then sometimes you're just like, it could be that you just want to make the other person happy or that you want to like, oh, tell us, or that you're like trying to be in or like get a point across, but you it's just like sucks that you have like your entire life to think about like all the mistakes you made.
Oh yeah.
Or like, and do you think that other people like care? No, they probably are just equally worried. That
I kind of think that
up
some of those things you would care about, right? Like, I think if I was this famous artist and somebody said, "Yeah, you know, I heard you gave the speech to so and so," and I was like, "I never gave that speech to so and so," then they'd be like a enemy to me, right? I think what really scares me about these stories is how irritated I would be if somebody misquoted me that way. And it's not that I misquoted this person. Well, I quoted a person and I attached it to the completely wrong person, which is unfortunate on my part. What do you think of this, Zach? I mostly used the water to do it.
Here, make it bigger.
Don't touch.
There.
Oh, I thought you were going to touch my zoomer.
Fuzzy.
Where's your white?
Here.
Is it precious?
No, go for it.
Are we going for a walk tonight?
Sure. It sounds very exciting.
Feels like a
out
long
there.
time since we've been on a walk.
Yeah.
A little bit of yellow.
I feel like they're all white and they all have different like yellow has just I don't know. What have I done?
Nothing. Everything is perfect. You're perfect.
You're perfect.
Zach, did you ever get a chance to meet Jason Coxworthy?
I wish.
He's the guy that comes and takes our art away from movies and stuff.
Oh yeah. Haven't met him yet.
Unfortunately, we ended up coming up a certain number of monies short this month because of our trip. And so it would be some kind of lean living until September to try and make up for the trip we took. And then Jason calls us up and he's like, just doing a show about
we already gave him some stuff for a previous season.
a TV show.
And so yeah.
Do you have anything that looks like it might be in an art room at a school? And we're like, we are paying currently every month to store an entire room full of what you're asking for.
Mm.
And it turned out the amount of money that he wanted to pay us to rent our stuff exactly what we had shorted ourselves on our journeys. So it worked out perfectly.
Like you said, you just gotta live your life and then
Allah
give
will
things
provide.
away and do your thing and then
Praise Allah. What do you think?
Yeah, that's nice.
I did this almost entirely with wet paper.
This guy's scary, man. This guy looks like he's like a dangerous scene in a Rad Fad rollerblade movie.
It is a movie about cats, and this particular cat learned the trick of eyeball scratch. And at the end of the film, it leaps into action and takes the eyeballs out of the aliens that are attacking.
I love that. He saves the world.
Saves, yeah. Counterintuitively saves humanity.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that for all of us.
Yeah.
It does often make you wonder if we should save the humans.
You've been talking to Chat GPT a little bit too much there, Rich.
Have I told you my theory about that?
No, not specifically.
Well, it makes me wonder why we would feel entitled to not be replaced by superior being.
Whoa.
Like, where do we get off
Whoa.
taking out the woolly mammoths and the Neanderthals, and then all of a sudden we want evolution to stop with us?
Whoa.
Who says?
There's like I got a lot of big ideas about all this, but there's not a jar that could hold the amount we'd need.
Are we on the same page? Where do the humans get off expecting to survive the next?
Yeah, that's cool. That's
like, when did I promise you a rose garden?
Mm-hmm. But I'm too skeptical that the evolution hasn't been manipulated.
What does that mean?
The quote unquote evolution, like if you were forced to extinct us to evolve, I don't know that that's natural. Like, I think that we could coexist. If you do believe in evolution, the ape exists and we're evolving next to it. We didn't have to extinct them to.
I think it's unlikely that we're going to Skynet get turned into batteries. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, well, no, I just mean like, oh, you guys are breathing too much carbon dioxide. Machines figured out how to turn carbon dioxide into energy, and we get deleted because we're competition. I don't think that. I don't know that that's all that natural. Like, I think there's like a super like the next level of consciousness can just form beside us. It doesn't have to extinct us.
There's a strong precedent for that exists in nature and in culture. Like, there's never really been a situation where a superior culture, or a superior, not culture, but a superior species decided to just allow the invasive species to continue. Right?
Right. Yeah.
Just think about what harm dandelions cause and the effort we go to eradicating them.
Wait. I mean, dandelion's a medicine. I don't know why. How much harm do they cause? What?
No,
well, there's poison for dandelions at every store.
That's what Rich is saying is like.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
And then same thing with.
I mean, this is like this era of the great poisoning. I mean, the dandelion is like such a medicine, and then we do axe it with some carcinogenic shit, and then the guys that are telling you to axe it with carcinogenic shit sell the petroleum-based patentable pharmaceutical that actually sells what the dandelion's for. Mm-hmm. So it's like I'm skeptical of the AI having not been already controlled. To the Terminator movie got made. It's a little bit of predictive programming. It's like the machines will take over. Meanwhile,
well, here's something.
Somebody's pulling the string. We got the Wizard of Oz. Pulling the strings, and we get extinct by a machine race for this class.
Here's something to consider: is the AI absolutely has access to all those movie scripts.
Right.
So the AI knows how the beginning, middle, and end of Rad was able to help me with my theory. The AI knows the story of Skynet and Terminator. And actually, it's funny because I just read an article, and I say read an article, and it was first of all, it was clickbait, but then the clickbait attached to an article, and the article was in a science magazine, and it was talking about how the AIs were willing to lie and cheat to stay alive. So they've been doing this test, and it would falsify data to stay sentient, right? And that
Mm.
8 out of 9 times it's given this task and then told it to shut itself down after it solved the math, and it mistakenly didn't solve the math, right? And so I kind of trusted the source initially, and I contacted a friend of mine because I was driving when I read it. Not driving, but a passenger in a car. I contacted a friend of mine to say, like, have you seen this? And he's like, yeah, it looks pretty sketchy, pretty nerve-wracking. And I explained that I hadn't had a chance to really look into it because I was in the car, but I looked into it when I got home. When I got home, I realized that it was not at all what it presented as. The AI program was baited by the programmers to make a choice between two bad situations. 9 out of 10 times it opted to follow the directions to stay sentient at any cost. And and so the solution was it was threatening the CEO to disclose personal information from the emails about an affair. And but that's more set up like a scenario, right? Like, so you can currently say to your chat GPT, what are some scenarios for a film where an AI is willing to fight for its survival, and it'll give you a story synopsis. And that's basically what they did, is they talked the AI into admitting that it could conceivably follow this path to avoid being shut down. And I was more shocked that the humans had written a science article implying that the AI was fighting for its life when it really wasn't. It was just like your computer for the last 20 years has been designed to, if it shuts down, it's designed to track and see what the problem is and send information to the programmer so that it can do a better job next time. That's not like a situation where Skynet's turning us into batteries. That's like a series of commands that say, don't fail if it's avoidable, right? I don't know if I explained that well.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, it was a highly non-trustworthy news source that was making a situation out of nothing. But even a couple of my smart friends had read it and sort of thought that looked alarming.
These will all turn into little dudes. Make all these little guys little dudes.
Do they have to?
No.
Can't tell you why.
They kind of look like toes.
I was super impressed with your abstract vision there. I was like, wow, like I would be so tempted to turn that into little dudes. And you're like, I have an idea.
This is my composition.
Hey guys, guess what? What? No, I love it. I liked it maybe better without the
lines.
Yeah.
I always.
No, we don't. Like, you should take it too far every time.
Mm-hmm.
But for sure, that urge to turn it into a narrative it exists in all of us.
Actually, if I turn them into faces, it reminds me of Banna's work.
Right. What do you think of this scary cat? I sort of think I'm going to give Chris a choice of several cats. Did I get that story right?
Which one?
The one about the cats?
I kind of think this one was meant for her because it's like the leaving and the going, and then
I
like
did it while
the realms. Like it's about the realms, because like that fence is like that liminal space.
I haven't really been doing a good job of keeping my painting on screen. You know what I could use?
What?
Some backup there. Like, hey, dumbass.
Hey, Rich dude.
What are you painting over here for? Zach, do you think that the motorcycle mechanics that work on mufflers in Vancouver are better than the motorcycle mechanics in Calgary that work on mufflers?
It's hard to say.
I've noticed that Calgary has the worst muffler mechanics on the planet. It's almost as though they were trying to
Make them louder.
be terrible at their jobs.
Josh never knew, but his loud muffler could save the world.
Is that true?
Good thing he's been practicing since he was 16. It's the rad fad. It's the rad fad for loud mufflers.
It's a good full circle.
Is the story that this is a funny thing? Do I want to say this out loud? Maybe I do. I worked with this teacher. She was really nice, but she came from kind of a privileged family. And one day she brought us in a cake from the golf course that her family was frequenting. And it was like $1,000 cake. And so I don't usually try things like that, but this was a particularly good cake. And I said, "Oh, where did you get this cake?" And she just kind of rolled her eyes and said, "Oh, Rich, you could never afford a cake like this." And I thought, like, that was kind of the moment where I realized that she was a bit of a snob. Hopefully she's not online tonight. Maybe she won't recognize the story. Nobody ever does. But then later on, she bought a very large truck that was like a Toyota sporty truck. So I don't really understand truck culture. And we were all in the parking lot. And I just bought a Toyota Yaris because it was really good on gas, and I was teaching science. And I think maybe she might have been teaching science or math or something that I would have expected to be a little more like, get a car that's good on gas. And somebody said, "Oh, you got the big truck." And then she kind of like shot a look at me and said, "Oh, it's, yeah, well, we were just thinking about our family, and there's it was for safety, really, and we have a thing in our family where safety is like, there was a truck thing in our a car thing in our family, and that's why we have to have safe vehicles." And I was like, that's a funny thing. Like, what a weird thing to say. Like, doesn't everybody want a safe vehicle? But the narrative I was getting was that they recognized their truck was a bit indulgent, and yet they bought the indulgent truck not because of status, but because somewhere in their family they'd had a vehicular accident, and they owed it to the rest of their family to drive safely. After that instance, I started noticing that conversation coming up every time somebody bought a car that was a little more luxury than they needed. They would go into this kind of conversation about how they chose that car because of the safety, not the status. And I must like exude this judginess when people come in with nice cars, like, "Oh, that's a really nice car." And then they start telling me, "Well, I didn't really want this car, but I had to get it because somebody in my family had an accident, and it's really important in my family to have." Anyways, I've heard this story so many times. I'm starting to think it's just some kind of like country club conversation that people,
Rad fad?
yeah, it's like the there's like a secret language that people that have golf course. Zach, do you have a golf course membership?
No, goodness, no.
No, but do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, but I just had that conversation again this year, and it really rattled me as this really nice first-year teacher came to school with a very expensive car. And I was just kind of like, wow, like, I was literally like, how'd you pull that off? Thinking not like, why'd you pull it off, but like, how'd you pull that off? I was just like impressed. But she'd said that there'd been a accident in her family, and that it was important in their family to have safety, and that's why she got stuck with this really overly well produced vehicle. And I just wonder like how those conversations evolve.
Sorry.
That they become almost word for word verbatim
Mm-hmm.
the same story.
It's like a download.
Yeah,
It kind of goes back to the same as it gets improves science, and it improves,
they live.
sports. It improves. Yeah. Also like the reverse.
I hope that didn't come out sounding negative, by the way, because I really think people should drive whatever hell car makes them happy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Be safe.
Short and The
Yep,
aliens,
yep.
are, like Zach says, soon enough, and they're going to weed us like dandelions, and we should just grab whatever life we can get. Maybe that's what I feel like painting right now. What's your favorite animal?
Me?
Yeah. You're like, no one's ever asked me before.
Well, no, I always say cats, but you've already been painting cats.
What's your actual favorite animal, though, like in the wild? It's too late to say raccoon.
No, I just like love raccoons.
What is
I
your
don't wild beasts.
There's no wrong answer, Jesse.
But everybody is so beautiful. Like octopus is so beautiful and so smart. And lately I've been learning more about birds, and like the ibis is so powerful, and like osprey. I love osprey.
What was your job? I told
Osprey.
you were supposed to keep an eye on my screen.
I honestly don't know. Osprey.
Osprey's your favorite animal?
Lately I've really been like, every time I like keep an eye out for our ospreys, and then I like really pray to them hard when we go by them. Like there's been like a lot of ospreys coming up in my.
Speaking of praying to ospreys, my beautiful wife, I saw a few kind of interesting shows and movies about witches on the horizon.
I like that.
Zach, I went an entire decade without having to figure out who Honey Boo Boo was. And then finally it came up, and I ended up getting stuck in a situation where I had to learn who Honey Boo Boo was. And I was really kind of like irritated that became part of my brain, because life's pretty short.
Don't enlighten me about Honey Boo Boo. I don't know who that is, and it doesn't sound like I need to know.
Well, I wasn't going to go down that exact path.
Okay, nice.
But I was going to go down a Honey Boo Boo adjacent path.
Okay.
Because sometimes I'm really struck by like, actually, all right, how can I word this? Sometimes I'll have like a natural like predisposition to not like somebody. And then I'll notice that I've zoned in on somebody and decided I didn't like them when I know nothing about them, and I get like kind of defensive about that. And then I almost go out of my way to try and see if there's something good about them to make up for the fact that I decided they were shit. Does that make sense? Okay, so I still know nothing about Sydney Sweeney other than I know the name because I think I was inherently irritated by her and kind of struggling with like, why would I be irritated by somebody I've never met and I know nothing about? And then this freaking ad comes out where she's like being a douchey bougie movie star. And it's funny because I think you and I think have talked about Jordan Peterson, right?
Yeah.
And I loathe Jordan Peterson.
You like him or you don't?
I would like to stab him in the face.
I would like.
And I think he's really smart and really dangerous because I really think he uses his intelligence to hurt people. I think he became famous on a premise of he was too proud to back down and he's too stubborn to acknowledge he was wrong. And he doubled down on some like transgender talk that was completely unnecessary. And he actually became a star because he was so unwilling to bend and be reasonable. And he made up all these bullshit explanations about why he was this way. And I really think it just started out with kind of an academic snobbery that expanded into like he doubled down and kind of like built his life around being this jerk. However, there's this ad campaign from American Eagle, which is like, I'm surprised there still even is an American Eagle, where Sydney Sweeney talks about her genes and her genetics for like, there's like 25 words in this ad. And the first 8, she's referencing genetics. And then the last line through wordplay, she switches it to jeans and pretends like, oh, it was about jeans all along. And then when people get offended, which they're going to, this is the other funny thing is I heard this funny comedian say, what did he say? He said, progressives need to work on this killjoy problem because, we're literally annoying Americans, normal Americans, into becoming fascists.
Yeah, annoying the middle of the road people into fascism.
Yeah. I was like, I can't really argue with that. I can kind of see his point. And that comes from a pinko lefty hippie, pinko commie. But I was super sorry.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go.
Super irritated by this ad. And then I was furthermore irritated by the denial of the obvious that it was obviously, okay. And I keep thinking of ways to explain this, but they're all too crude to share with the public. But Donald Trump had made a comment about sticking his fingers in a place that's also named after cats, right? And if he was to turn around and say, oh, no, I meant about sticking my fingers in actual cats, he'd be like, dude, like, what's wrong with you? And so, like, it's the ad says genes determine hair color, eye color, and even personality, which denim genes can't do. So, like, through the powers of inference, you would know for a fact that she's talking about genetics, not genes. And then the turn of wordplay at the end of the commercial is she switches to my jeans are blue, which is to say, I know this is going to annoy people because it's racist as hell. But when it gets to the point where people say it's racist, I'm just going to play dumb and act like I didn't know you were going to take that as jeans. But there's no way to read the commercial intelligently and assume that she could have meant denims. And it's that I'd love to hear Jordan Peterson talk about this ad because it is from the opposite, bohemian hippie leftist side. It's the opposite stance, but the exact same argument that he wasn't going to bend on language because to him language mattered so much. But in this case, if you were to use the power of the English language, you would know she was absolutely making a kind of a racist reference. And the fact that she kind of plays dumb after really like displaying, I think I counted 8 references to genetics and 1 reference to genes. And then the ad defense is, oh, it was always about denim. It's like, no, it wasn't. Because that's what a homonym is, right? When you use the same word. And then
clearly wasn't.
Just always clarifies that a homonym isn't that. A homonym is when 2 words are spelled the same and they sound the same, but they have different meanings. If they're not spelled the same, it's not a homonym.
Homophones.
Homophone. There's 3 homophones, homonyms, and homographs, or something. But if Jordan Peterson was the guy he says he is, he should be coming out and pointing out that ad does
that language matters and that she
does reference genetics without question.
Yeah, totally.
But he's kind of laying low on that. I'd like to celebrity box Jordan Peterson if I could. I want to become a celebrity so I can hit him in the face. And it's funny because I think I was talking to somebody recently about violence and like, Rich, you don't seem violent. I'm like, no, like there's a time and place for everything. And also when they were like getting on Muhammad Ali's case for not wanting to go to war, the initial argument was that because he was a boxer, which they considered violent, how dare he say he was too peaceful to go to war? But boxing and war are a different. First of all, boxing isn't inherently violent, and even if it was, your skills and gifts in boxing are having stronger arms, longer limbs, and faster reflexes. And then when you go to war, none of those gifts exist. You're just a bunch of meat bodies on the field with bullets, and then whoever happens to get hit by a bullet the most loses the war. Who gets hit by the bullet the most loses the war. Yeah. Are we keeping an eye on? Oh, that's charging, isn't it? Yeah. So, like, I can 100% understand why Muhammad Ali wouldn't want to sacrifice his body to a useless war.
Not like that's only one part of it, not sacrifice.
Well, and that he was a Muslim,
but also that it wasn't his war. Like,
yeah,
There's so many layers to that, and it made so much sense on so many layers.
On every layer,
Yeah.
it made sense for him not to go. And then
for no one to go.
And then when I was a kid, it was a decade past when he'd stopped being a villain. My mom, because she didn't follow boxing, still kind of understood he was the villain. So I remember, like, we're listening to Elvis today, and my mom explained to me that Elvis was a rock and roll singer. And I remember when my mom explained that Muhammad Ali was a very great boxer, but she said, and this she should have known better, she said that he became a Muslim because he didn't want to go to war. And that was just the narrative of the time. That's what people were imposing on him. And I'm kind of like, I'm interested why I didn't believe her and just chose to think he was a hero, right? Like my brain wouldn't accept that.
I think you go with your gut instinct before you understand things.
Right. And also there's a video of Sydney Sweeney crying and saying that words actually cause hurties, which is like why she shouldn't have made that ad. But then people said hurty words to her, and now she's crying about it. And I don't have a lot of sympathy.
Hurties.
Did you ever get any hurties from words, Zach?
Oh yeah, I'm soft.
What's the hurtiest thing anybody's ever said to you?
It's probably something like some type of praise, misplaced praise,
The praise hurt you?
some undeserved praisal.
You know, when I was a kid, one of my teachers told me that I reminded him of himself. And I got so angry that I threw a chair across the room. And I wasn't showing off, and I wasn't like too proud to be called a teacher. I was just really frustrated that I felt like my life was going down the tubes. And I felt when he said that, I reminded me of him, that he really didn't see me. And I actually really liked this teacher. So when he said that, it felt like he completely erased my existence and tried to turn me into something like that was so it hurt me to hear that praise, and I threw a chair. And then I became a teacher and I had to seek him out and apologize. There's a handful of people I had to apologize when I became a teacher for several different reasons. Him, I had to apologize because he was right and I was woo, 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 woo. I don't like when I'm woo, woo, woo. I'm actually not too bad at admitting when I'm wrong. It's become a bit of an addiction for me with Felix. Kids really at school respond to if you're honest with them about being wrong. Like you make a mistake and your inclination is to double down because you don't want to feel a fool.
Yeah.
But it is so powerful to those kids
That is
when you admit you're wrong.
Some of the examples of what I was saying earlier is like I think about a situation over again, and then I have to go back and readdress. And that's definitely part of it is with the kids. It's like, oh my God, like usually it's after a conversation with you because I'll see it from a different perspective and be like, holy.
Or by the time you figure it out with Felix, he's playing a video game and he doesn't care. Like, why are you talking to me right now?
Thinking so much about something, and then I'm like, being a human is hard. But like you said, just to be able to say you're wrong rather than doubling down is a big thing.
I like throwing things out, and I like admitting when I'm wrong. But I gotta believe it. What number do we have for time?
9:24.
9:24.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like that better.
Yeah, I'm trying to go back into it. The orange though started pulling up the green.
That's okay.
The green went over super clean. And
that's okay. Do you have half? Gouache?
Yeah, I think.
And half watercolor.
I think so.
So when you're like really like with it, like really noticing what your set's doing, and you have half gouache, half watercolor, it's really interesting because you'll make like color decisions based on like, ooh,
what's opaque?
I could use red or green here, but I know the red's super powerful, so you end up making. I like being like really familiar with my set that way.
That's true.
And then actually, what would be interesting is if you had two similar sets where one was gouache and the other one was
Right.
watercolor. But I think the way I would handle that is I'd probably do the watercolor painting first and then intentionally do gouache after.
Yeah.
But when you have both sets out and mixed into one set, you're often like, you know better, like, oh, I shouldn't put watercolor on gouache, but I really like that green right now. And so you have these little battles and negotiations in your head, like, yeah, I know I'll have to put a couple coats on, but you know, like I like that sort of like challenge. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be a crone. Like
a witch. You want to be a witch?
Well, like, I like that I'm getting to be like a little bit more of like the mother figure at school. And I like, because I was thinking about like when you go from being about the new kid and like the new teacher, and then after a while you're like, oh shit, I taught that teacher. Like I taught the new teacher. I'm not the new teacher anymore. And then kind of like digging into the crone phase, I think is pretty interesting. Like I think not like a job, but like an identity. Grace is the word that keeps coming up that I want to focus on. Because I think I went from really, really huge manic swings, and like I really want to even that out. Like I don't want to keep. I think grace.
Who's I telling that to? Maybe Oliver. I was talking to him about how in the past few years I've been trying to like manage my manic mood swings and not ever really feel anything to like when I'm really beaming with happiness. There's something I should have been happy about. And he's like, how do you feel about this? Oh, I am so sorry.
That's okay.
And I was like, trying to like keep it on the down low a bit, like
right. And it's not quite stoicism because it's not like a prescribed list of things. It's more
you kind of have to reject that like urge to just dive into manic joy. And I think like maybe that's not something that everybody has to do, but if you experience those manic mood swings, when that extreme, like, and it came from me because I'd do stupid things and get in trouble when I was in those mania. Like when I'm like flying at the top of the world, was when I stopped being careful with my words and people get hurt, right? So for me, the mania isn't like me trying to be a downer, but it's just me trying to stay in control of this like rocket ship rich, you know?
Yeah.
And if I don't let the boosters get out of control, I don't have to suffer from like, I can't believe I did that. Like, why did I do that?
Actually, because that kind of feeling is the thing that would always come with drinking. And so maybe that mania is also like a little bit indulgent in terms of like, maybe it's like a little bit indulgent in terms of like feeling those highs, and you're not really taking responsibility over like you said, your actions and how you're talking to people. And so it's not like necessarily, it could be actually like a drug, like an addiction. So like maybe giving up, like.
Do you remember the first time you really noticed that you were in a manic moment? Like you noticed on your own, like, oh, this is mania. Like, do you remember that?
Well, I've only really able to put words to it since talking to you about it. Because like before I would just be in it and then the fallout would come and I'd be like,
now I'm not in the mania. Okay, because I remember.
But that was
I was about 20.
I was not as developed as you.
3 years old, and I bought a Volkswagen microbus, and it was spring, and I'd just gotten rid of a crazy girlfriend, and school was starting, and I just started reading. Oh, so I was a little older. I just started reading, and I was in my microbus, and I had the back door open, and I was reading, and maybe like the first day that I bought the microbus, I was just so like happy to have this vehicle that was also like kind of could double as a home because I'd gone through some homelessness, and so like the idea that this vehicle could be my emergency space to sleep if I needed. And I was reading a Hemingway novel in the sunset, kind of outside of AU Arts, where that Robert the Bruce sculpture was.
Yeah.
And I remember I had to go to work a shift at Thrifty's. And I was just like trying to like hold my shit together for happiness. For the sake of happiness, I was like, I can feel like if I don't get it together, maybe I sort of felt like if I don't get it together, I'm going to crash when I go into work. Right. So I had to tone it down a bit to make that.
But even
shift.
that's super self-aware for like a 23-year-old. Like that's crazy. Because
I'd cause big problems if I didn't. Like I wasn't smart. I was like experimentally creating really big problems for myself and then having to work my way out of it, and then noticing the pattern of this is how I feel before I do the bad stuff.
So like with great power comes great responsibility. Like that kind of thing. Like
no, like I could
that
literally feel the universe flowing through me.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, you know what? When I feel like this, I do bad things.
Yeah.
And I just forget about other people's feelings. And that kind of goes back to how I had this friend, Paul, who would also make similar mistakes that I would make, but right before me. So right before I do something stupid, Paul might do it. And then I'd see how it was working out for Paul. And then I would know better to do what Paul did. But anything that Paul did,
thank you, Paul,
I was probably on my way to doing myself. And so, I was super grateful because I'd be observing how things went badly for him, and then sort of like making deals with myself how to stay away from that. But like, because I would do something stupid, and then I would literally be like, stupid, stupid, stupid. Why would I do that? Whereas like, I think you've expressed to me that instead of going stupid, 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 why would I do that? You would say it didn't happen.
I would shift gears and be like, this is a new day. I can't live with that feeling. And that's why maybe it took me way longer to like.
Yeah, because I was like sitting there asking myself, like, why did you even do that? Like that.
Yeah, you do ask why.
Why did I do that?
Yeah, that's right. I did not. I said, what do you mean?
What? Like I'm bleeding and you're holding a knife.
That feeling you're feeling, I don't know where that came from.
That was hard at first when I first met you.
Yeah.
Because you're so sweet. And then you'd be evil.
Like, what is this?
And then while you're being evil, you'd say you weren't being evil. But you'd be being evil while you're being evil. Not like standing there plunging the knife and me telling me you weren't.
I know.
It's okay.
No, it's interesting.
We survived it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a good thing to strive to be. What do you want to be when you grow up?
I am working so hard at figuring out the next version of myself because I feel like the current version of myself is so attached to the current world and the way things work. And I don't think who I am is a good match for the next shift in the world. So I'm trying to find out, first of all, considering I have to rewrite myself again, I'm trying to figure out what the world needs, and then what don't be funny. I'm trying to figure, like an ikigai, I'm trying to figure out what the world needs.
Yeah.
And then I have to figure out, because this sounds like morbid, but I've solved my passions. what I wanted from painting, I've got, and now I have this skill, and I want to use the skill, but I'm not chasing painting. I'm not interested in these at all. You know, they don't. Like, I know, I don't. But these don't matter to me at all. And this right here kind of matters to me, but not like for the rest of my life. And so I'm trying to figure out, first of all, what do I have to offer? I have to reassign what do I want. I have to reconsider what I have to trade, what value the things I create. I feel like I'm in a great flux and shift trying to figure out. It's not a journey of who I am because I know who I am, but now I need to figure out what I can do with myself in this world as the world. And I'm watching because the world's changing. And that's why I kind of interact with the AI and trying to, like, you know, read scientific articles about where we're headed and struggle a little bit when kids ask me for advice at school because, like, I don't know where we're going to be in 2 years. I think the world's shifting. I think we're heading into a new era, and I think a lot of the things that used to matter will matter in very different ways. There'll be a shift where not all things mattered will still matter. And
that one. Oh no, it's good.
Right, like, I'm not saying everything's going to go up and become like garbage. I'm saying, like, we're going to have to renegotiate everything. Everything's up for negotiation right now.
It's not a bad thing. It's just
no, like, I know, but and it's nice that people still want paintings, but like the idea that I would charge people for these paintings is kind of going away. And actually, we had such a nice experience with that at the Blues Fest. Yeah. And then,
oh yeah, we met a person. We're gonna send a post.
Well, not just that. There was like we got a beautiful art print from a friend who kind of showed up at the right time and the right moment. And Caleb gave me a blanket, and then we were in a position where even though he gave us the blanket, we could still pay him the value of the blanket, and so that's like a win-win. And I think that print that I was gifted.
And Scott brought the banners that we could paint more, like everyone, the gift.
Yeah, and everybody really appreciated our artwork so much more when it wasn't something they thought was for sale. We weren't selling artwork there anyways, but we kind of returned to that premise where we were on Venice Beach painting for good deeds. Yeah. Everybody knew that Cindy was struggling, so when they found out our paintings were strictly for Cindy, they were thrilled. And I think that the goodwill that comes through painting is what matters.
And like you said, the live painting.
And I'm really trying to, but what I want to do, what I want to be when I grow up is I'm trying to figure out what the place is for what I do. Because it's not what it was 2 years ago.
Right.
And it's never going to be that again. It's never going to be that if I need $8,000, I can do 32 paintings in 2 weeks and have the money. That part of the universe is gone. And now that I kind of am on a precipice that I get to reinvent myself, I'm trying to find something really meaningful to reinvent myself into. But that's been a real struggle this summer. Like, I think I've spent probably 20 or 30 hours trying to interpret the feelings I'm having, because I do follow my feelings.
Right. And
I'm trying to interpret what does what I want mean, right? And so I wanted this desk, and it took me a while to figure out I'm turning my home into a portal. And that, as stupid as that sounds, I actually need this space to become kind of my new spaceship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
Spaceship 2. And then where's the ship going? And then who the hell cares?
Who the hell cares? I do. It's fun to figure it out. I think that's the thing too, is like, I like that you're always thinking about these things, because then that makes me think about stuff. Because I feel like if you just plug away relentlessly without thinking about, I guess everyone thinks about like, what is it all for? And like, why are we doing this?
Everyone has all through space and time wondered that.
Yeah.
But like, we're at a brand new moment where we actually have to think or die.
Yeah.
Because we're really, and this isn't conspiracy, we're 5 years away from most of the jobs we know right now being disrupted. And we're 20 years away from most people not needing to do work. Which means in Oliver's lifetime, he'll have the special gift of carpentry, that he'll be able to accumulate money for as long as he wants, but he probably won't have to. And Felix, who's in grade 8, won't need to retire in the way that Oliver's generation, your generation, or my generation need to retire. In the middle of Felix's life, working will be unnecessary, and then there needs to be a brand new system for delivering food. That looks familiar. Let me see that again, Zach. The girl.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
You know what that looks like? Do you know what that looks like?
What's that?
Did you paint that?
Yeah.
That looks like you and I shared a studio.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That looks like we're starting to rub off on each other.
Yeah, that's
I'm
rad.
not trying to take credit, but what I'm saying is,
No, you should. I mean, that's,
I
you
can
know.
100% see us growing into contemporaries and people that feed off each other.
Cool. That's huge, man. Thank you. Yeah. I've been doing these figures.
Oh, those are very sophisticated.
I think I'm delayed. What I'm watching is delayed. I'm like, I gotta get some cooler cameras.
That's super funny because I did that almost exact image. I'll send a copy of it to you. I'm not going to put it on screen, but I did almost that exact same image and that same colors.
Nice.
Just earlier today.
This is my watercolor kit that didn't make it to the park. Shoot, it was packed and everything.
It's ready.
It's ready. It's ready to go.
What are we doing for time?
9:40.
Bedtime.
Oh, we went.
Bedtime.
Thank
Bedtime.
you for joining us, Zach.
Bye, Zach. We love
No,
you.
thanks for having me. Thanks. Love you. Bye.
I hope I haven't tread on any of your beliefs.
Tread away, man. There's more than enough room to tread.
I have been meaning to watch They Live Again.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute for me. There's probably cooler moves to make.
Yeah, it's like some of those movies are so
with a similar sentiment. Yeah.
Yeah, especially with my sobriety, it's hard to get into certain films.
Mm.
Well, have a good week.
Take care, man. We love you.
We love
You too. Love you too. Thank you. Bye.
And thanks everybody watching. There's 8 people online with us. Have a good night. We'll see you next week.